The sky above Earth was clear and calm on that quiet afternoon, but far beyond the blue horizon, something vast and unknown was approaching at an unimaginable speed. Suddenly, without warning, the instruments of the world's space agencies began to beep and flash, signaling an object entering the solar system, something enormous, unlike any asteroid or comet recorded before. People all over the world looked up, their curiosity turning into fear as news spread. A colossal spaceship, massive and shimmering with strange lights, was moving slowly toward Earth. The government quickly scrambled all its communication networks, sending urgent messages to leaders and scientists alike, but no one could understand the true purpose of this arrival. Then, a transmission broke through the static, clear and cold. The voice belonged to the Galactic Empire, a powerful force known only in legends and distant stories whispered among astronomers and sci-fi fans. The Empire declared that Earth must surrender immediately and obey their rule or face total destruction. The message was calm, but threatening, and it left every nation trembling. Leaders gathered in emergency meetings, trying to decide how to respond to this impossible demand. The world's finest minds worked feverishly, analyzing the message and the Empire's massive ship, but no answer seemed enough. Then, as if to prove their threat was real, a single silent warning shot was fired by the Empire's flagship, not toward Earth itself, but into the empty space near a peaceful scientific outpost orbiting the planet. The shot was precise and powerful, causing a ripple of panic around the globe. Yet, rather than causing chaos or despair, it sparked a fierce, unexpected determination in humanity. People from every corner of the Earth felt a surge of unity and courage. The message was clear. This was a test, a challenge thrown down by a force that had never truly seen humanity's strength or spirit. Governments sent back their responses, not with fear or submission, but with a promise to defend their world. Scientists and engineers doubled their efforts to develop defenses, while the ordinary citizens braced for what seemed like an impossible fight ahead. Across cities, towns, and villages, the once quiet skies buzzed with new energy as humanity prepared to face a threat larger than any before. The Galactic Empire had given Earth one warning, and in that moment, it became clear that humanity was not going to back down. The stage was set for a battle, not just for survival, but for the right to exist as a free and independent world. The shock of the Galactic Empire's warning still hung heavy in the air, but Earth's people refused to sink into fear or despair. Instead, from the ashes of that first terrifying moment, a new fire began to burn, a fire fueled by determination, hope, and an unshakable will to survive. Across the globe, governments that had long been divided by politics, language, and culture suddenly found themselves united by a single urgent purpose: to protect their home. Cities that were once rivals now shared resources. Scientists who once worked in isolation began collaborating at an unprecedented pace, and military commanders who had never met coordinated their strategies through secure networks that spanned continents. Laboratories and factories shifted their focus, transforming industries overnight to build defenses against the unimaginable threat looming above. Engineers designed spacecraft that could race through the void, armed with the latest technology humanity had ever produced. Soldiers trained tirelessly, pushing their bodies and minds beyond limits, knowing the enemy they faced was unlike anything they had imagined. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens embraced their roles in this growing effort, volunteering for support teams, learning emergency protocols, and sharing a powerful belief that together they could stand against the Empire. Rumors began to spread about the strange nature of the Empire's technology, their ships glowing with energy unlike any Earth science had seen. Yet the Empire's advance was slow, almost deliberate, as if they underestimated humanity's spirit, or waited to see what they were truly made of. Intelligence agencies launched secret missions to gather more information, sending small unmanned probes toward the Empire's fleet, risking everything for a glimpse of the enemy's weaknesses. These daring efforts paid off when one probe returned with data revealing unexpected flaws, gaps in their shields, slow response times in their command systems, and a rigid hierarchy that slowed their decisions. Earth's leaders saw these as cracks in the seemingly invincible armor of the Empire, and they used this knowledge to prepare for what was coming next. The world's greatest minds worked night and day, inspired by the challenge to create new weapons, defense systems, and communication technologies. Artificial intelligence was harnessed to analyze battle strategies, while advances in energy, manipulation promised new kinds of weaponry. Amidst all this, hope was kindled by the sight of young pilots training in simulators, their faces set with determination, dreaming of flying the new craft that might one day face the Empire's massive warships. In the silence of underground bunkers and the chaos of surface cities, humanity was transforming, rising stronger and more united. The news media carried stories of courage and sacrifice, reminding the world that this was not just a battle of machines, but a battle for the soul of a species. Even as the Empire's massive shadow loomed closer, Earth's defenders grew more confident. They knew that the fate of their planet would soon be decided, but they also knew that surrender was never an option. Every step forward was a defiant answer to the Empire's warning, a promise that humanity would fight with everything it had, no matter the odds. The stage was set for the first real confrontation, and as the stars watched silently, Earth's people held their breath, ready to face the challenge with a fierce heart and a fearless spirit. The tension in Earth's command centers was nearly unbearable as the first signs of movement from the Galactic Empire's fleet reached the outer edges of the solar system, and all eyes were fixed on the blinking radars that showed Imperial scouts weaving through the asteroid belt like shadows. In the dark, humanity's newly formed Space Defense Force, a mix of hastily trained pilots and veteran astronauts, readied themselves for their first true test, hearts pounding with a mix of fear and fierce determination, knowing this would be a battle unlike any they had ever imagined. When the Imperial ships finally came into view, their massive hulls gleaming coldly under distant sunlight, it became clear they were testing Earth's defenses, moving with calculated precision but also arrogance, assuming they could crush the small planet's resistance without effort. Earth's fighters launched from orbital platforms and hidden bases, sleek crafts designed not for brute strength but speed and unpredictability, darting toward the enemy like swarms of angry wasps, guided by skilled pilots who had trained relentlessly for this very moment. The clash began with sudden bursts of laser fire and explosive projectiles cutting through the blackness of space, both sides maneuvering fiercely amid tumbling asteroids that provided cover and danger alike. Human ships, though smaller and less armed, used the asteroid field expertly, weaving between rocks to avoid the Empire's heavy fire and striking at weak points in their shields. The soundless battle was a dance of light and shadow as pilots risked everything for every inch of advantage. One young pilot, barely 20, known only as Carter, found himself face to face with an Imperial scout vessel far larger than his own ship, its cold, unfeeling eyes scanning for weakness. Carter's hands shook, but his mind was sharp. Recalling the training drills and the stories of Earth's indomitable spirit, he dove into a narrow gap between two asteroids, forcing the enemy to follow and struggle to keep pace before launching a surprise missile that struck the scout's engines. The explosion sent fragments spinning through space, a rare victory that ignited hope throughout Earth's forces, but the Empire responded quickly, dispatching reinforcements that pressed harder, their formations tightening and their weapons growing more deadly. Several human ships were lost in the flurry of fire, sacrifices that weighed heavily on the hearts of their comrades, but only strengthened their resolve. Back on Earth, millions watched the battle unfold through live feeds, their cheers and prayers fueling the fighters in the void. The battle stretched on for hours, each side testing the other's limits, neither willing to give ground easily. In the final moments, a coordinated strike led by Earth's commanders disabled a key Imperial command ship, sending a clear message that humanity was no longer a helpless planet to be crushed, but a force to be reckoned with. As the Imperial fleet pulled back, their confidence shaken by the unexpected resistance, Earth's defenders celebrated, knowing that though the fight had only just begun, their first skirmish had already changed the course of the war. The universe had witnessed a new power rising, born from Earth's courage and the refusal to submit, and the Galactic Empire was forced to reconsider the threat they had underestimated so gravely. As the dust settled from the first fierce clash, in the asteroid belt, Earth's leaders and warriors caught their breath. But far beyond the stars, The ripples of that battle stirred something unexpected within the ranks of the Galactic Empire itself, a group of rebels who had long grown weary of the Empire's harsh rule and endless conquests. These rebels, scattered across distant star systems, saw in humanity a spark of hope, a fierce independence that they themselves once had before the Empire crushed their freedoms. Secret communications began, sent encoded messages through deep space channels that Earth's intelligence teams barely detected but quickly decoded. The message was clear but cautious. An offer of alliance, a chance to share knowledge and technology to stand against the Empire's oppressive grasp. The news sent shockwaves through Earth's command centers. Would they trust an enemy's enemy? Was this a trap, or the first true opportunity to fight back with more than just Earth's own resources? After intense debate, the decision was made to take the risk. Representatives from Earth's leaders and scientists prepared for the most secret and dangerous mission yet, contacting these unknown rebels, who called themselves the Free Stars. Using stealth ships equipped with the latest cloaking technology developed in record time, a small team was sent through a hidden wormhole to meet with the Free Stars in a distant, shadowy sector of the galaxy. The journey was tense, with every moment filled with uncertainty. But when the Earth envoy finally arrived, they found a collection of alien species, diverse in appearance but united by their desire to end the Empire's tyranny. The rebels shared stories of worlds destroyed, families lost, and freedom stolen, but also of the fierce resistance they continued to fight. They revealed the Empire's weaknesses, the rigid command structure that slowed decision-making, the heavy reliance on overwhelming firepower that could be outmaneuvered, and the cracks forming in their political unity as more systems began to question the cost of loyalty. In return, the Earth team offered fresh hope and resilience, the determination of a species that had faced extinction but refused to bow. Over weeks of intense discussion, strategies were formed, technologies exchanged, and trust built on shared goals and sacrifices. The rebels provided Earth with new weapons designs, advanced cloaking devices, and starship tactics that had been tested in countless battles. Earth's scientists contributed innovations in energy efficiency and communications, creating a synergy neither side had imagined possible. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the news of this alliance was kept secret, a fragile hope that needed to be nurtured carefully to avoid panic or betrayal. But as the Empire's forces continued their slow march toward the inner solar system, Earth's defenders prepared not just for a fight, but for a war fueled by new friends and fresh resolve. Yet the alliance came with its own dangers. Spies lurked within both sides, and every secret meeting could become a trap. Suspicion shadowed every decision, and trust was a precious commodity. The team on the front lines knew that the future depended on this fragile web of cooperation. One misstep could mean disaster for all involved. As Earth looked up at the stars, the horizon no longer seemed as lonely. The galaxy was awakening, and with these unlikely allies, humanity stood not as an isolated planet but as part of a growing resistance. The Empire's grip was strong, but it was no longer unbreakable. The stage was set for the battles to come, where alliances would be tested, courage would be stretched, and the true meaning of freedom would be fought for across the endless void of space. The moment had come. The Galactic Empire's massive fleet darkened the skies above Earth, casting long shadows over the planet as millions held their breath, knowing that the fate of their world hung by a thread. Enormous warships, bristling with weapons and shields, moved into position around Earth's orbit, ready to strike with overwhelming force. But Earth's defenders stood firm, their spirits unbroken despite the odds stacked against them. The Space Defense Force had grown stronger since their first encounter, bolstered by alien technology from the Free Stars and humanity's own relentless innovation, creating a network of satellites, missile platforms, and agile fighters that made every inch of space around Earth a dangerous battleground for the invaders. As the Empire's ships unleashed a barrage of energy beams and plasma blasts, Earth's orbital stations fired back with coordinated strikes, exploiting the weak points discovered by their spies and scouts. Explosions lit up the darkness of space like distant stars, sending debris spinning in all directions as the battle raged in a furious dance of light and fire. Among the defenders, pilots like Carter, the young ace who had first tasted victory in the asteroid belt, led daring attacks against the enemy's command vessels, weaving through storms of laser fire and debris with a mix of skill and sheer courage. The ground crews worked around the clock, repairing damage and sending up reinforcements, their faces lined with exhaustion but bright with determination. Every family, every citizen, knew someone fighting in the stars above, and their hope fueled the relentless defense. The Empire, confident in their superior numbers and technology, pressed harder, sending waves of fighters and heavy cruisers that threatened to overwhelm Earth's positions. Yet, Earth's defenders used guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and disappearing into asteroid clusters or cloaked zones, frustrating the Empire's attempts to pin them down. The battle escalated into a desperate struggle when the Empire deployed their most feared weapon, a massive beam cannon capable of vaporizing entire cities from orbit. Panic rippled through Earth's command. But scientists had prepared for this, activating newly built energy shields around critical areas, buying precious time. With the stakes higher than ever, Carter and his squadron took on a near-suicide mission to disable the beam cannon's power source, flying straight into the heart of the enemy formation. Their courage inspired others to fight harder, pushing the limits of human endurance. In the final moments, a coordinated strike launched by Earth and their alien allies crippled the Empire's flagship, severing its control over the fleet and sowing confusion among their ranks. The tide turned, and the massive fleet began to retreat, battered and shaken by the unexpected resistance. Earth's orbit was scarred by battle, but the planet remained untouched, a shining beacon of resilience. The victory was costly, with many brave souls lost in the void, but the message was clear. Humanity would not be conquered. As Earth's defenders watched the Empire's ships disappear into the distance, they knew this was just the beginning of a long war. But the battle for Earth's orbit had proven that when united and determined, even the smallest world could defy the greatest empire. The stars themselves seemed to pulse with new hope, a promise that Earth's fight for freedom was far from over. The final echoes of battle faded into the vast silence of space, and as the battered ships of the Galactic Empire retreated beyond the edge of the solar system, Earth's people stood united beneath their blue skies, their hearts filled with a cautious but growing hope that this victory was not just survival, but the start of something greater. The cost had been high, countless brave souls lost and cities scarred, but the spirit of humanity, unbroken and fierce, now burned brighter than ever, igniting a fire of determination that would reshape their destiny among the stars. Governments that once squabbled over borders and politics now spoke as one voice, pledging to rebuild not only their defenses but their cooperation, knowing that the future demanded unity beyond anything ever imagined. Scientists pored over data from the battle, eager to improve technology that had proven itself against the Empire's might, while pilots trained with renewed vigor, knowing the war was far from over. But beyond the immediate scars of war, a new vision emerged, one of exploration, growth, and a firm refusal to remain a hidden corner of the galaxy. The alliance forged with the Free Stars opened doors to distant systems, secrets of the cosmos, and the potential to learn from civilizations that had faced tyranny before and survived. Earth's leaders announced bold plans to establish outposts beyond their solar system, not just as military bases but as symbols of hope and freedom. AI promised that humanity would take its place among the stars not as a frightened planet but as a proud and powerful presence. The news spread quickly, inspiring young and old alike, filling classrooms, workshops, and homes with dreams of space travel, discovery, and the endless possibilities that lay beyond. At the same time, the Galactic Empire, though wounded and retreating, was far from defeated. Their commanders debated bitterly over the loss, their pride wounded by humanity's unexpected resistance. They sent spies and scouts to monitor Earth, wary of this unpredictable species that had shattered their assumptions and forced them into retreat. The war was not over, but the balance of power had shifted. Humanity had shown it could stand, fight, and even win against a seemingly unstoppable force. In quiet moments, beneath the vast sky filled with stars, people everywhere looked up with a new sense of purpose. The galaxy was no longer a distant, cold mystery, but a place where their future awaited. The children born in the shadow of war would grow knowing they were part of a story much larger than Earth itself, a story of courage, unity, and a relentless will to be free. As ships prepared for new missions, carrying the hopes and dreams of millions, Earth entered a new dawn, not just a dawn of survival, but of rising strength and endless possibility. The warning the Galactic Empire had sent was answered not with submission, but with a roar that echoed through space, a promise that humanity would never bow, never break, and would reach for the stars as a new power in the cosmos.